Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're tackling something really critical. We're charting the future of customer engagement in, well, one of the most opportunity-rich, but also incredibly complex digital markets out there, Thailand.
Absolutely. And the stakes are huge, really, for any global business thinking about Southeast Asia. We're talking about a population that's profoundly mobile first. I mean, they live, shop, socialize digitally.
Yeah.
So the pace is just incredibly fast. But the channels, super fragmented.
That fragmentation, that seems like the key challenge, right? Because you, the entrepreneur, you're not dealing with just one digital space.
Not at all.
You've got these powerful kind of separate consumer hotspots. You know, Facebook is huge for social commerce. Then there's Line for all that instant daily communication, even transactions.
Yeah, it's essential.
And then TikTok, driving viral discovery, storytelling. It's a lot to juggle.
And this multi-platform reality, it's basically thrown out the old rule book. We looked at the sources, and it's pretty overwhelming, the traditional marketing funnel. You know, awareness, consideration, purchase.
Yeah, classic model.
It just doesn't apply anymore. The customer journey, it refuses to follow that nice straight line we used to imagine.
Right. They're not walking neatly from the top to the bottom. They're sort of bouncing between apps.
Exactly. Bouncing is a good word. They demand instant responses from brands too. And critically, they're leaning on new tech like AI to get answers faster than ever.
Okay, so the old map is useless. We need a new one for this territory.
Precisely.
So our mission today, really, is to understand the solution that replaces that linear model. Loop marketing.
That's it.
We need to figure out how this loop gives you a continuous, a sustainable strategy for keeping customers plugged in, engaged in this super fast, fragmented economy.
So, if the loop is the future, we first need to understand what actually killed the funnel. Like, what was its fatal flaw? Why can't brands just rely on it anymore, especially global ones entering Thailand?
Good question.
Well, the old model, it operated under one core and ultimately fatal assumption.
Which was?
That the buyer's journey ends at checkout. Simple as that. Money changes hands, job done.
Ah, right. Mission accomplished.
Yeah. You move them down the pipeline, and now you pivot all your resources back to finding the next cold lead.
Okay, that sounds efficient on paper, maybe. But in the reality of Thailand's mobile-first market, that journey is never really over, is it?
Never. The customer doesn't just disappear, they just switch platforms.
They loop back.
Exactly. Constantly looping back. You might see a customer say, start a pre-sale chat online asking a really specific technical question.
Okay.
Then maybe hours later, they discover a competitor through some, engaging video on TikTok. Then they jump over to Facebook to compare prices, read reviews from friends, and only then do they actually commit to buying.
So that initial purchase is just like a temporary stop.
Yeah, exactly. A temporary stop, not the destination.
And there's another really huge shift here, isn't there? Something structural about how people even get basic information now.
Oh, absolutely. This is massive. We're seeing this huge erosion of the old assumption that, a search query automatically leads to clicking on your website.
Right. Getting them to your site was the goal.
Yes. For years, the whole strategy was SEO, content marketing, all designed to make your website the final destination. But now, if a customer asks a complex question, search engines are increasingly just using AI to cook up a direct answer.
Right there on the results page.
Right there, which means
they might never click through to your site at all.
Exactly. They got their answer from the AI. They potentially bypassed that crucial conversion step on your turf, and they definitely bypassed any website-based retargeting you had set up.
You're losing that vital real estate.
You are. So you can't afford to just be a destination anymore. You have to be like a persistent, helpful presence everywhere your customer might possibly need you.
Okay. So boiling it down for you, the listener, you need a strategy that sees customer history and behavior as, what, an input for the future?
Yes, an input for future sales, future engagement, not an output that just signals mission accomplished.
And that leads us right to loop marketing.
It delivers us right there. If the funnel was like a one-way street ending in a cul-de-sac, the loop is more like an ecosystem.
Okay.
It's defined by the fact that it's not about just pushing customers along some predetermined path. It's about creating a cycle where every single interaction, whether it leads to a sale right then or not, actually fuels the next interaction.
So less like a pipeline, maybe more like building a relationship through continuous conversation.
That's a great way to put it. You're always learning, always adapting.
Always listening, maybe.
Absolutely. And think about what fuels this relationship based on what we're seeing. It could be a really personalized email sent exactly when that user is most active.
Right.
Or maybe a super quick, helpful chatbot exchange that solves an immediate problem. Or even just, an entertaining social post that keeps your brand top of mind. These little moments, these service or content touch points, they aren't just costs. They're like deposits in the engagement bank.
Okay, so the big strategic shift then for global entrepreneurs coming in is moving resources away from just that initial attraction, the old awareness stage.
Yeah, less focus purely on the top of the funnel.
And instead, committing to continuous learning, adapting, and crucially, just staying present across all those fragmented digital places where Thai consumers actually live their lives.
Exactly. And that foundation, that presence and consistency, it leads us to the absolute most vital ingredient when you're new in a market like this: trust.
Right. Trust is everything.
It really is. For any global player entering, the sources really underscore this. Thai customers, they want brands that, well, first, show they understand the local culture.
Makes sense.
They want near instant responsiveness, and they demand relevance to the apps they use every single day.
So to build that kind of deep, reliable trust, this loop framework, it actually distills the actions you need to take into 4 core movements.
That's right. It makes it practical. This is basically the playbook for entering the market and actually sustaining growth.
Okay, let's unpack those 4 movements then. This sounds like where the strategy really becomes actionable.
Okay, first movement, express. This is all about defining a clear, authentic brand voice. And critically, it's not enough to just translate your Western marketing copy into Thai.
No copy pasting.
Definitely not. This needs real cultural attuning.
What does that attuning actually look like on the ground?
Well, it looks like understanding local humor, for instance. Subtle social cues, knowing which colors or visual styles resonate. It means, respect your key local holidays and traditions, not just with a generic banner, but with content that feels genuinely part of the community conversation. You're aiming for a voice that feels local, trustworthy, human, not like some faceless global corp.
Got it. Local feel. What's next?
Second movement is tailor. Now, this goes way beyond just basic mass segmentation. This is about using the detailed data you collect, specifically your CRM data, to personalize interactions in a really meaningful way.
So we're not just talking about inserting your first name into an email.
Oh, far from it. It's about knowing, for example, that this specific customer prefers to chat online, not email.
Okay.
Knowing they were just browsing your high-end product range. And maybe sending them a notification at, say, 7 p.m. because your data shows that's when they typically unwind and scroll.
Using data to make the customer feel really seen. Understood.
Exactly. That's what builds loyalty. Okay, third movement, amplify. This is your channel synchronization strategy. Right. You need to share your content, your messaging, across the specific platforms Thais are actually using day in, day out. Line, Facebook, TikTok. You really can't afford to treat any of these as just secondary channels.
Okay, but wait a second. Doesn't trying to manage like 3, 4, maybe more channels across different platforms, doesn't that dilute your budget and your message? It sounds incredibly labor intensive, honestly.
That's a fair point. And it is the core challenge the loop is designed to solve. If you treat them as separate silos, then yes, it's absolutely dilution. It's inefficient.
Right.
But in the loop model, they must operate as a unified ecosystem. The insight you gain from a line chat has to immediately inform, say, the creative you use in a Facebook ad targeting that same person.
Interconnected.
Totally. If you synchronize effectively, and this really requires that centralized data hub we talked about, you actually achieve much greater efficiency than just broadcasting the same generic message everywhere.
Okay, that makes sense. Unified ecosystem. What's the final movement?
The final, and maybe the most crucial one that really sets the loop apart from the old funnel. Evolve.
Evolve.
This means you absolutely must adjust your strategy in real time, often daily, based purely on performance data. You're constantly measuring what's working, which channels are driving quality engagement where customers might be getting stuck or dropping off.
So it's not set and forget. It's constant tinkering, constant learning.
Constant evolution. That's why it's called Evolve.
This whole framework, express, tailor, amplify, evolve, it feels really practical. Like for a global entrepreneur stepping into Thailand, this continuous data-driven presence feels like the way to build that familiarity, that trust, much faster than a competitor who's just, I don't know, throwing money at display ads or relying on a static website.
It really is. It's almost a survival mechanism in such a fast-moving market.
But as you pointed out earlier with the Amplify Challenge, keeping this continuous loop going across multiple platforms at speed, at scale, that sounds impossible to do manually.
Completely impossible. You absolutely need the infrastructure. You need the tech stack to unify all that data, all those interactions.
You need like a robust technological engine, right? Something that can treat all those separate chats, clicks, views as part of one single customer story.
Exactly. An engine that acts as the operational brain. It needs to be built for speed, for agility. This infrastructure has to unify all the customer data across every platform.
Okay.
It needs to automatically power that deep personalization for the Taylor movement. It has to automate the cross-platform campaigns for Amplify, and critically measure performance instantly so you can actually do the evolve part rapidly.
Right. And you need the feedback loop closed quickly.
Instantly, ideally. And the ability to pull this off, it relies on specific technologies that enable this level of integration. We're talking about things like unified customer platforms, yes, but also tools that plug directly into the local ecosystem, like integrated line CRM capabilities or content management system, CMS, that are designed for really rapid updates and deployment across channels.
Okay, let's make this super concrete. Can we walk through a detailed example, see how this centralized engine actually pulls those fragmented pieces together in the loop?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so imagine a potential customer. They first message a brand's line official account. Maybe they have a technical question about product specs. That's their first touch point.
Okay, so the centralized platform, that operational brain we mentioned, immediately logs that interaction. It adds context to that customer's profile. And maybe an instantaneous AI-powered chatbot response is triggered.
I gotta have that instant response they expect in Thailand.
Exactly. Solves the query right away. Responsiveness box ticked.
So the system now knows what? The customer's specific interest and their preferred chat platform, which is Line.
Right. So based on that profile enrichment, the platform intelligently follows up, maybe hours later, with a personalized ad on Facebook. But not just any ad. Maybe it shows a specific use case video that's directly relevant to the technical query they asked earlier online.
Smart. Okay, what happens next?
The loop continues. Maybe later that day, the same customer is scrolling TikTok, and they see a short, engaging, maybe funny, culturally attuned clip from your brand. It demonstrates the product, but in a relatable local context.
Ah, so they recognize the brand voice, the consistent presence across Line, then Facebook, now TikTok.
Precisely. And that recognition, it wasn't built by just hammering them with generic ads. It was built through these consistent, helpful interactions, synchronized messaging across chat, social, video, that builds confidence.
They start to feel comfortable, familiar with the brand.
Yeah. And that confidence, that familiarity, that's what finally triggers the purchase. The whole journey bouncing between Line, Facebook, TikTok, that is the loop at work. And it's all seamlessly orchestrated by that underlying tech engine.
Okay, that makes it really clear how it works in practice.
And just to give listeners a bit more flavor of the specific capabilities needed here, you often need tech that can manage loyalty programs too, maybe a loyalty hub.
Right, loyalty is big.
Huge. And tech to easily deploy content everywhere, like a content hub CMS. And even getting into things like location-based marketing. You know, using proximity tech like a line beacon in a store to push a relevant offer when a known customer walks past.
Wow, okay. Very integrated.
It enables that really deep integration into the actual Thai digital fabric. It supports all sorts of industries too: healthcare, finance, education, e-commerce, you name it.
Okay, so if we synthesize all this, the core insight really seems to be Thailand. Huge opportunity. But success demands a totally new mindset.
Absolutely.
You have to be connected, you have to be consistent, and genuinely customer first. That old linear funnel model, the one that assumes the customer walks your path, it's fading fast.
It really is.
The loop, which meets the customer wherever they happen to be on their terms, that's what's rising.
And the great news, really, is that the strategic framework, these four movements, and the tech tools needed to execute it, they're available. You can adapt, you can build those genuine, lasting relationships in this incredibly dynamic economy, but you have to be willing to let go of the comfort of those outdated linear models.
Right, you have to embrace the loop.
Yeah.
Okay, before we wrap up, we always like to leave you with one final thought, something to maybe mull over as you think about entering or expanding in markets that move this incredibly fast. Given the huge emphasis we placed on that evolve movement, that absolute necessity for real-time, data-driven adjustment, maybe even daily. What does this continuous learning model actually mean for traditional, often rigid annual or quarterly marketing planning cycles that global teams often use?
That's a big question.
Yeah. If you can't pivot your strategy, maybe even your budget allocation within, say, 2 days based on what the data is telling you, are you already too late in a market like Thailand? It feels like it fundamentally changes how strategy needs to be developed, funded, and executed day to day.
Something to really think about as you plan your next move into these fast-paced environments.
Definitely food for thought. We'll see you on the next deep dive.